Okay, so in lesson 3, we're going to learn algebraic expression. So we're going to learn what an algebraic expression is and how to change those words into an algebraic expression. Then we're going to learn how to evaluate. So I'm probably going to do a few different videos just so it's not so much in one. Okay, so you know me, I always start with terminology. So, oh, sorry, this is pretty touchy. Okay, so first, an algebraic expression, so you're filling this in your workbook, is a mathematical sentence that has a variable in it. So anytime, 3 plus 3 would not be an algebraic expression, but as soon as I go 3a plus 3, now it becomes an algebraic expression. So what is a variable? Because that's probably a word you haven't heard before. So a variable is any letter that represents an unknown value. So it's a letter that means that there's some value to it. We just don't know what it is. And sometimes we are going to solve for it, and sometimes it will be given to us. So since we have letters that are units, like M is meters, what other one is there? I can't remember. A variable would be italicized, and meters would be units. And same thing with, sometimes have the multiplication. We don't really use the multiplication sign anymore, but you can see how confusing that may get. The italicized one is the variable, and the one that's just normal, like normal print, would be the multiplication sign. The numerical coefficient is the number that is multiplied to the variable. So in the example 2a plus 1, you should ask yourself, what does this actually mean? Well, this means 2 times some number and then add 1 plus 1. So as soon as I see times 2 times some number, I know that that's my numerical coefficient. So whatever number is multiplied to the variable is your numerical coefficient. The number in an expression or equation that does not change. So in other words, that is what is added or subtracted to the term that has the variable. Okay? So in this algebraic expression, 7 would be the numerical coefficient because this is 7 times some number, right? And then plus 2, or add 2. So since you're multiplying that 7 to the number, that's called the numerical coefficient. 2 is the constant term, because that's the one that's not with the variable. And t is the variable. And notice that my t is italicized. Sorry, t is italicized so it doesn't get confused with the addition sign. Now, these are a little bit tough because here I know my constant term is 2. I know my variable is x, but what's my numerical coefficient? Well, the numerical coefficient is the number that is multiplied to the variable. In this case, it is 1. Even though it's not there, you assume that the numerical coefficient is 1. Okay, and that's a tricky one. And here, the numerical coefficient, if I put that invisible 1 in there, I can see now that the numerical coefficient is 1/3. Okay, so numerical coefficients can be fractions as well. And 1/3, if I just extend that line, you can see 1/3 is multiplied into the variable. Okay. So here's a little quick check. The numerical you can pause the video and try it and then start it and see if you did okay. Or you can just follow along with me. So this right here means 3 times some number, add 4. So 3 times some number, 3 would be your numerical coefficient, 4 would be your constant term, and x would be your variable. I'm going to go down here because this one is actually the next easiest one. Again, if there's no number in front of the variable, we assume it to be 1. So this is 1 time, or the numerical coefficient would be 1. The constant term would be 10, and the variable would be a. Here we don't have anything in front of the variable, so we put a 1, and if I extend that line, you can see my numerical coefficient would be 1/5. It's a fraction, that's okay. Our constant term is 8, and my variable is b. Okay. So now what we did in class was I gave a whole bunch of words that meant mathematical symbols. So I gave a whole bunch of words and I asked you guys to put them in a chart. And this was the chart that we used, or that we should came up with. But these are keywords that will tell you whether to add. So if you see the word sum, if you see the word increased or combine or plus or more than, that means to add. The word difference and decreased and less than and take away mean to subtract. Product, times, remember factor pairs we did in lesson 1, or sorry, lesson 2. When I twice something or when I triple something, I'm multiplying. And same thing with division. And now if we're going to more do equals in lesson 7 and 8. So equals, if you see the word is, that means equals. If it means when you total, you can actually put total over here as well. Because when you total numbers, you are adding. So you can do that. Okay. Result, same as, equivalent to. Those all mean equal in math. So pause the video and just take the time to fill these words into your chart. Okay, so there are some keywords, and a good test-taking technique would be to highlight those keywords. So 5 is important, more, and a number is important. Okay, so those are your important words. So if I want to write an algebraic expression, I don't want to write out all these words. Mathematicians don't want to write out these words, and that's why they gave them symbols. The symbol for the word 5 is the number 5. The symbol for the word more is add. And the symbol for a number is a variable. You can put a, you can put n, you can put p. Okay? Now these ones are a little bit tough here because when we do less than, let me just rephrase this. I can also go a plus 5 as well. Because when I add two numbers together, the order does not matter. That's called a commutative property. Okay? However, less than means that I am subtracting. And if you get stuck, have your chart out and look for those keywords. Okay? Less than is subtracting. When we subtract, the order does matter. So we have to figure out where that 3 goes. Does the 3 come first or does the 3 come second? So we have to visualize this. 3 less than a number. Are we taking, so when we had chips in front of us, would we be starting with 3 or taking away 3? That's the question you should ask. And the answer would be we're actually lessing 3. So even though the word comes first in the sentence, in the word sentence, it actually comes second in the algebraic expression because we are lessing 3. We are taking away 3. And in C, it says 3, here's my keyword, subtract a number. So here it says we're starting with 3, and now we're subtracting a number. So I'm going to say P. Okay, so this is a lot of practice. So let's try this. So again, quick checks are always on your own. If you want to pause the video and try them, and then come back, press and check your answers, that would be great. So here's your keyword. So 5 times. So 5 times the number. So you can put your multiplication sign, but if you use the multiplication sign, you should not be using the variable x. Eventually, we're going to say goodbye to the variable or to the multiplication sign, and we can write it as 5n. That means the same thing. Okay, by grade 9, you should be writing it this way. 3 more than 5 times a number. Okay, so 3 more means to add, one of our keywords. 5, and again, if you need to put the multiplication sign, then we don't use the variable x. 5 times a number. Different ways you can write this. 3 plus 5n. And since addition is commutative, we can switch the order. Okay. A number divided by 100. Now divide is not commutative. Okay. These are not commutative, so that means I can't switch the order, so I have to think which one comes first. So it says a number is divided by 100. So a number is divided by 100. Now that's one way you can write it. Or you can actually write the division sign. Now when you write the division sign, make sure those 2 dots are clear so I don't confuse it with subtraction. Okay. But again, this is more elementary, and now this is what we're going to be leaning towards in junior and senior high. So 100 divided by a number. So now it's 100. That's cut into, I don't know how many groups. So I'm going to put k groups. And again, this variable doesn't matter. Okay. So I'm going to stop the video there, and I'm going to put a part 2 to it.